Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Here's a wild encounter that might make you reconsider ever stepping foot in a grocery store again. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with a turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. You're in my spot. F off, Karen. I swear, I'm going back to shopping online. I must be putting out some kind of pheromone that attracts these psychos. Today, about an hour ago, I drove to the supermarket, different one from last time, saw a sweet end spot was open, pulled in, and got out of my car. All good so far. So there I am, grabbing a shopping bag from the boot, trying to desperately remember everything I needed to buy when someone starts on their car horn like a New York cabbie from a bad 80s rom-com. I look around and some lady's screaming and gesticulating at me. I step over and she says, "I crap you not, you're in my space." Witty and articulate as ever, I responded with a clever, "Huh? You're in my spot. Move your car." "Yeah, all right, Sheldon, not happening." And I wander past her car and head to the shop, thinking that was weird, but over. Apparently, I'm a slow learner. If that was all, I wouldn't be here now, would I? See, this is the moment someone grabbed me by the back of my t-shirt, half strangling me, and tried to drag me backwards. Allow me to paint you a little picture here, Reddit. See, the scrawny middle-aged Karen trying to haul me back to my car weighs maybe 45 kilograms, sopping wet. She's maybe 5 foot 2 inches tall, counting her low heels. I, on the other hand, am on the larger side. Because of my condition, I spend a lot of time in the gym, so while I do have a bit of a belly still, my shoulders and arms are noticeably developed. Add to that my shaved head and my beard, even at a mere 5'10", it's very rare that anyone attempts to lay hands on me. So I turned around to see that she hasn't driven off and parked. Instead, she's leapt out of her crappy silver Audi, leaving it blocking traffic to chase after me. Me. The F do you think you're doing, you mad C-word? Not the wittiest reply, but I'm rapidly losing my usual cherubic demeanor. Karen, get out of my space! Let me be clear, the car park is less than half full. It's not like this is the last space. Me, not happening. Now, do be a good little Karen and F off. There was a brief moment of utter stillness from this creature, and then, "How do you know my name?" F me all, she's actually called Karen. At this point, she fully loses her mind and starts screaming about how I must be stalking her and she's going to call the police, and her mad little chicken brain finally overheats and she leaps into her car, peels out of the parking lot, and I went and did my shopping, shaking with adrenaline from the encounter. Got home and discovered I only bought half the ingredients I needed for tonight's supper. Effing Karens. Wait, she actually tried to drag you back to your car? She laid hands on you? If it was the reverse, you'd be facing charges for assault. And our second story. Thieving bully demands I take him home in order to give him my fundraising earnings. I was in middle school in the 90s. I loved growing up then, and even though there were gangs in my area, I generally avoided trouble. One of my classes had this big field trip planned, and they had us selling chocolates to raise money for our trip. I was pretty good at it and was selling at a good rate. I'd take the bus, public transportation, to school, and my stop was about 2 blocks from my home. I got off at my stop one day with my box of chocolates, and there was this older kid, around 16 or 17, pretty big for his age, hanging out there. He saw me and came towards me. This guy's clearly a gangbanger. Peso comes up to me and says, "Hey, homie, where are you from?" He was asking what gang I was from. It's not the first time I get challenged like this, so I just reply, "I don't bang, man. I'm just a junior high kid." Peso looks at my box of chocolates and takes it from me. "What's this?" I tell him it's nothing. It's something for school. He opens the box and sees a bunch of dollars in there. He grabs the bills, around $15, my sales for the day, and takes a bunch of chocolates as well. "Tomorrow, you're going to give me $20 more. If you don't, we're going to have a real effing problem." I walk away feeling scared and PO'd. I realize I'm going to have to pay back the lost money from my birthday money, and I definitely didn't want to give this guy any more money. I think about it and decide I'll get off at a later bus stop from now on and walk a little more just to avoid this guy. The next day, this is what I do. I stuff my box in my backpack just in case, and I exit about 2 stops later. I don't see the guy and think I've solved my problem. Then I get to the liquor store a block away from home, and who do I see but this overgrown idiot, Peso. "Hey man, you didn't forget about me, did you?" I said, "Look man, I don't have any money right now. I don't even have my chocolates. I left them at home." I shouldn't have said that. "Okay, let's go to your house, and you're going to give me the money or something else if you don't got it." I begin getting real nervous. My mom's at work and my grandma's home. I definitely don't want to bring him home with her there. I glance at him and notice the tattoos on his arms. At this point, I saw the perfect opportunity. I tell him, "I don't think that's a good idea. Why don't you just let me go, man?" Peso grabs me by the collar and says, "I'll tell you what to do, and you effing do it. You understand?" I nod my head and tell him to follow me. Now it's time to give a little background. My neighbor that lived in the house next to mine was a veteran of one of the biggest, most notorious gangs in the city. He was in his 40s and a real chill dude. He loved my grandma because she would often share plates of food she made with him and his wife, and he was fond of me because I taught his 8-year-old boy how to play baseball. His son had a disability, a problem with one of his legs, so most other kids wouldn't play with him, but I often did. Let's call my neighbor OG. OG always had a bunch of guys over at his house. He made sure they never caused problems, and they were all respectful towards my family in particular. Back to Peso. The tattoos on his arms, I realized he was from the same gang as OG. I have a big smile as I'm walking home, and Peso asks me, "What are you smiling at, idiot?" I say, "No reason," and keep walking home. As we get closer, I see a bunch of guys hanging out at OG's house. Peso narrows his eyes, then smiles as he recognizes some of the guys. We get to OG's house, and Peso says, "Wait here, idiot. Let me talk to my homies." OG is sitting on his porch, and Peso starts greeting some of the guys and then heads towards OG and greets him in a reverential manner. OG notices me and says my name. "Hey, OP, what's up?" Peso turns to look at me, and I say, "Peso told me to wait here. I have to go home and give him money." OG stands up and says, "Why do you have to give him money?" I say, "Because he told me yesterday at my bus stop that the $15 in chocolates he took from me wasn't enough, and I have to give him more today." Peso begins to speak. "You know this kid, OG?" OG gives him the scariest look I've ever seen and tells him to shut the F up. OG looks back at me and asks, "Is this from the chocolate you're selling?" I said, "Yes." OG asks me how many chocolates I have left to sell. I say about 50. He tells me not to worry. Peso's going to pay me for the 50 I have left, plus 20 for the day before, and an extra 50 for my trouble. He tells me to keep whatever else I sell. He tells me to go home, and Peso would be back later with my money. About an hour later, there's a knock on my door, and Peso has an envelope and says, "Here's $120, little homie. I effed up. I'm sorry. Do you have Nintendo? I brought you some games." I just stood there stunned and thinking how I never would have guessed that getting robbed had so many benefits. I didn't see Peso too many times after that, but whenever I did, he would wave at me and never bothered me again. Sometimes not being in a gang, but being respectful to gang members and building a good relationship with them has its benefits. And our last story. Allowed my stepmother's boyfriend to build on my property, then took it. Growing up, I had the best dad anyone could ask for. My father was always there for me, never missed a visitation, always paid child support, and loved me unconditionally. He taught me everything I know about life, from how to fix a car to how to treat people with kindness and respect. He was my hero, and he made it clear to everyone in his life, his friends, girlfriends, and even my stepmother, that I was the most important person in his world. I felt the same way, though I could tell it sometimes made things awkward for my stepmother. When I was in college, my dad was diagnosed with life-threatening cancer. The doctors didn't give him much time, and it was devastating for both of us. In our state, if a divorced and remarried person dies without a will, the surviving children inherit everything. My stepmother, understandably worried about her future, was very insistent that he get his affairs in order and create a will. To my surprise, he did. When he passed away, I was shocked to learn that he left everything to her. I didn't expect that, but I trusted my dad, and I knew he must have had his reasons. Fast forward 10 years, and my stepmother recently became ill herself. She drafted her own will, and when I read it, I was stunned. She left everything, my dad's house, the land, the farm, even his beloved guns, to her new boyfriend of just 2 years. Not a single mention of me or my children, her grandchildren, who she loves and sees often. I couldn't believe it. The house and land that my father worked 3 jobs to pay for while she stayed home, all of it was going to someone who had only been in her life for a short time. I was heartbroken and angry. It felt like a betrayal, not just to me, but to my father's memory. I decided to consult a lawyer, hoping there was something I could do. That's when we uncovered something incredible. It turned out that my father didn't just create a will leaving her everything. They'd actually created a joint will together, a legally binding contractual will that stated I would inherit everything after they both died. This kind of will isn't common, but it's ironclad. Once one spouse dies, the terms cannot be changed no matter what. My stepmother had conveniently left out this detail, and her new will was completely invalid. Her boyfriend, who'd been very excited about inheriting everything, had already started making plans to develop the land and improve the house. He was eager to take over what he thought would be his. Little did he know those plans were about to come crashing down. When I learned the truth, I was filled with relief and a sense of justice. My dad had protected me and my future, even after his death. He made sure that everything he worked so hard for would stay in the family, just as he always intended. I calmly informed my stepmother and her boyfriend of the situation, letting them know that the joint will couldn't be altered and that I would indeed inherit everything. They were both shocked and tried to argue, but the lawyer made it clear that the law was on my side. Now, instead of worrying about losing my father's legacy, I'm preparing to honor it. The land, the house, the farm, everything will stay in the family just as my dad wanted. And my children, his beloved grandchildren, will grow up knowing that their grandfather made sure they were taken care of. As for my stepmother's boyfriend, his excitement has turned to disappointment, and he's backing away from his plans. I can't say I feel sorry for him, though. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.